And there was the killing of the U.S. citizen Anwar al-Awlaki. It's an interesting take on this story that you're going to hear from me. You would think I'd be a knee-jerk conservative and say, good job, Obama, which I did on Friday. But on second thought, not good job, Obama. Because if Obama could just kill an American without a trial, who's next? You? Me? What could he claim? That he has a secret law that was passed by Eric Holder giving him the right to kill Awlaki? No, I'm sorry. Something's wrong with this government. If this guy in the office of the White House can kill a man as despicable as Awlaki is, or was, he's dead, you know, an American Muslim, grows up in this country, hates the country, hates white people in particular, goes to Krapistan and preaches hate against America, inspires the one rat after another to try and bring down planes, inspires the Fort Knox massacre, the Fort Hood massacre artist, who, by the way, has still not been brought to trial. Ask yourself why he is not. Colonel Hassan has still not been brought to trial under Obama. Why are they not showing him? Because it would be very bad for business if they showed him, and then they would show that the Defense Department was complicit in permitting him to survive. But anyway, nothing about that. Nothing about that. The issue is Obama killed Awlaki, saying he had a secret law written for him by Holder, I guess in the middle of the night on last weekend, before he killed him. Something's wrong with this picture. So you say, well, wait a minute. Are you agreeing with CAIR and the ACLU and Ron Paul? Yes. Yes, I agree with them. Yes. Ron Paul floats impeachment for drone kill of U.S. citizen. I agree with Ron Paul. Because if Obama can kill an American citizen based upon evidence but without a trial, he can kill you. He can kill anyone he doesn't like. And then he could say, see, I have a secret law here passed during the night. Ron Paul said Monday that President Obama's targeted killing of Anwar al-Awlaki might be an impeachable offense. He said impeachment would be possible, but he wants to know more about how the administration flouted the law. Ron Paul called the killing a movement toward tyranny. 100% right. He's 100% right. He said we've just totally disrespected the Constitution. He's the only one out there who puts Ron Paul at odds with his Republican rivals over foreign policy and the war on terror. In other words, the Republicans would say, good job, good job. Michelle Bachmann, Mitt Romney, all said good job, supportive of the killing. No one else in the Republican field has spoken out against it. But I actually agree with Ron Paul and civil libertarians who criticize the targeted killing of an American citizen without any due process whatsoever. You wouldn't expect that from me, would you? Well, what can you expect when you can't predict what I'm going to say or do? You can't predict what I'm going to say or do in most cases because I actually think. I'm not a knee-jerk anybody. And by the way, thank you for making Abuse of Power #4 on the New York Times bestseller list of fiction. It must be killing all of the literary types on the left who are pretending the book doesn't exist. It does exist. It's a pretty big deal. So you want to talk about the killing of the terrorist and was he entitled to rights or not? And be careful what you say here. We all want him dead, if he is what they say he is, which I believe he is. But who's next? Who can Obama whack next and then come out and raise money the next day? You? Me? A man who runs a big website? A man who runs a little website that's critical of the president, who he can declare to be a terrorist and have him killed by a special secret law written by Eric Holder? Who's next? Who's next? New Mexico, Jack, your opinion, please.
Mike, I just want to know where in the Constitution it says that enemy combatants are entitled to constitutional protection.
Well, hold on now. Stop for a minute. He's an American citizen.
Okay. He's not just any American citizen.
No, but he's an American. The issue is, the reason Ron Paul is saying that Obama could be impeached for this is because he had an American citizen executed without a trial. He killed him, with a missile strike. Now, we all applauded that. I did initially, until I started to say, wait a minute. What right did Obama have to do that? It was not like Osama bin Laden, who was not an American citizen. Thanks for the call. 1-800-449-8255. I'll be right back.
Savage.
Hi, Dr. Savage, long-time listener from Marin County. Now I live in Houston. This is what I, came to U.S. from India to get away from this kind of anarchy and this the Chicago thug style,
Ah, so in other words, you're afraid of a government that could suddenly say, you're a terrorist, therefore I can kill you.
Yes, definitely, and that's what happens in third world countries. And now we live in the greatest nation in the history of the world, and I'm scared, I don't know.
It's very interesting, Kareem. I'm not scared because I expected this to happen. That Obama would celebrate the killing of an American citizen, calling him a terrorist, but with that there was no trial. I mean, I'm all for having arrested him. I'm all for having had the CIA or the SEALs catch the guy, put a hood on him, and take him in and give him a trial, not in New York, but a military trial, by the way. He should have been tried at Guantanamo. Because at that point, he would have been aiding and abetting the enemy. He would have been considered a combatant and so forth. Therefore, he should have been given a military trial at Guantanamo. But I don't think they should have just killed him like this. I mean, Kareem, if this is not an abuse of power, what is?
It is abuse of power. And who gave him a right to, play with the lives of the U.S. citizens?
Well, interestingly enough, I read an article in the uber-liberal Atlantic magazine today criticizing President Obama precisely because they said they've asked for the law which authorizes the killing of men like Awlaki, and the president says he has it, but he won't show it to them. Can you imagine living in America like this?
So if you have that kind of right, show it to everybody,
Kareem, believe me, I, of all people that you know, am more worried about this than you can imagine. Because if they can do it to Awlaki, who's next? Someone they don't like? Who they make up charges about?
Definitely.
Now, Kareem, I'm going to send you Abuse of Power, my new smash novel. Read everywhere except in the San Francisco Bay Area where it's banned. Not permitted in San Francisco. Not permitted in San Francisco. So I think there's a very big story. Now, let's listen to the... Are they coming to get me? Is that what the siren is? That's what you want me to... All right. I'm in the radio studio here in San Francisco, and I opened the window because it's raining, and I love the smell of a rain, of one of our first rains of the year. It's really not the first, but it feels like it. It's supposed to be soundproof, but I'm like Mr. Natural. I have to have access to the sounds of the city outside. I like the sound of tires swooshing on pavement in a rain. It's enough already. Turn off the sound effect, would you, Beowulf? Let's hear the president on whacking Awlaki. Let's hear it.
The death of Awlaki marks another significant milestone.
Stop for a minute. No, did you hear this? Did you hear what the president just said? It wasn't the death of Awlaki. It was the assassination. Don't you see the danger we are in when not only does he get away with killing a guy, but he calls it a death like the man died of natural causes. The guy didn't die of a heart attack from eating a poisoned falafel, a contaminated falafel sandwich in Pakistan, in Yemen. He was executed. Listen again from the top.
The death of Awlaki marks another significant milestone in the broader effort to defeat al-Qaeda and its affiliates. Furthermore, this success is a tribute to our intelligence community and to the efforts of Yemen and its security forces who have worked closely with the United States over the course of several years.
Now, let's stop right here. You know, during World War II, again, a very important reference point for me anyway, I don't know about you, the Germans sent spies and assassins and such into America by U-boat. They landed on Long Island. They landed, I think, in Florida. They were caught by accident, by the way. They were caught by accident. They were tried. And these were Americans who had gone back to Germany and fought for the Nazis because they spoke English perfectly. They were caught and tried, and they were executed. But they were given a trial by FDR. I read the cases. They were given a trial. They were not just summarily executed, unlike President Obama, who seems to be taking the law into his own hands virtually in every avenue of our lives. Business, you name it. Business, military, it's all single, tyrannical. Just tyrannical. I'm not defending the terrorist actions. Don't put words in my mouth. Okay? Something's wrong here. Something's really wrong here. New York, Lewis, do you think the president had the right to kill Awlaki without a trial, yes or no?
Absolutely not, Dr. Savage. This is the most egregious move by the president against the Bill of Rights that I have witnessed thus far. The Fifth Amendment protects all U.S. citizens, even the most despicable among us. That's the point of the Bill of Rights, to give United States citizens protection that most other governments and dictatorships wouldn't. And this is just further evidence that Obama is a dictator.
Well, you know, I hate to talk about another book I'm working on, but I am finishing up a nonfiction book that'll be out in the spring from Morrow about the tyranny of Obama. And boy, this frightened me. This is like the lead story. I thought Mr. Obama was a constitutional liberal. Why would a constitutional liberal take the law into his own hands? Even liberals are asking that, Lewis.
It's absolutely scary, Michael. And, you know, he's supposed to be a constitutional attorney. Everything that he does is absolutely against what the Constitution is for. As an attorney, I find it despicable that a man would summarily execute a U.S. citizen from the presidency. When the president
It's unbelievable to me. Frankly, I think that whoever authorized this could be brought up on charges in The Hague.
100%. You know,
you want to start what goes around comes around? The liberals love The Hague. They love to pick on U.S. generals, Israeli generals. Well, what goes around comes around. Now you have a man who poses as a liberal who executes Awlaki. Whoever authorized this theoretically committed a war crime.
What's disgusting to me, Michael, is that you have the knee-jerk reaction of the Republicans and the presidential candidates, most presidential candidates out there, who said, oh, this is just such a great thing. Since when is killing...
But I said that on Friday. I saluted the president until I thought about it over the weekend. I had a lot of time to reflect. I said, wait a minute, something's wrong with this picture. Awlaki was an American citizen, no matter how despicable he was. Now, it is true he gave up his citizenship. So there is a window there, okay? Let's be clear, Lewis. As an attorney, doesn't that matter?
Well, Dr. Savage, in order to formally give up your citizenship, you have to go to U.S. consulate and formally give up your citizenship. To my knowledge, Awlaki never did that. So he never formally renounced his citizenship the way that you are supposed to do it. So he.
Are you a defense attorney, Lewis?
I am, Dr. Savage.
Good. Well, no. All right. Hey, someone's got to defend us. Generally, defense counsel are pretty smart. I could see the kind of criminals they get off. They're pretty clever. They know how to work the system. But in this case, if they found out who authorized the killing of Awlaki, do you actually think The Hague could bring them in on charges? They wouldn't do it, though. You know that.
Again, could they do it? In theory, yes. Should they do it? In theory, yes. Would they? No. Could we try that person here in the United States? Absolutely. I mean, again, Obama is supposed to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States, and all he does is spit on it. It's terrible. And again, you have...
It sounds to me, Lewis, that you are originally quite liberal in your thinking. Is that correct?
Well, I mean, you know, during college, I was kind of sort of liberal. You could say that.
Yeah, well, everyone in college is. You know the old saying, if you're not a liberal at 20, you have no heart. If you're still a liberal at 40, you have no mind. You've heard that.
Absolutely. I've heard it from you many times.
Well, I didn't invent it. You know my favorite joke, which I have to tell again. I'm sorry, I'm starting to repeat myself. What do you call a communist with 3 children?
I don't know.
A Republican. But there's no such thing as a communist with 3 children. You might find a communist with 1 illegitimate child, or maybe 2 illegitimate children with 2 different beings, but you'd rarely find a communist with 3 children and the same wife. Lewis, I'm going to send it to you if you can name it. What are you getting a free copy of?
Abuse of Power.
Bingo! We have a prize winner.